Hi everyone, welcome to week 2 of the course. Now, I'll warn you in advance, the picture quality this week may be a little bit blurry. We're dealing with some transfer issues, but you can just listen to the audio also as well of this video presentation, and it'll give you all the information that you need. Now, in week 2, we really start to move into the pattern of what most weeks will be like during this course. We begin to have a pattern where you'll read a chapter, usually by Monday. This week you have until Tuesday to read it because of Labor Day. You can take Monday off, go on vacation if you like, have a good time. But usually you'll read the chapter by Monday. This week, read it Tuesday. Then by Wednesday, you'll take a quiz on that chapter, a short quiz. These quizzes are timed. They last 5 minutes. That's all the time you have. Answer carefully because you can't go back once you've answered a question. Usually these questions are in the form of multiple choice or true false, or sometimes even fill in the blank or matching questions. Usually you can answer them fairly quickly, but you do have to have a good knowledge of the text before you begin, so make sure that you've read that chapter carefully before you start the quiz. Also, by Wednesdays of most weeks, you'll have a PowerPoint presentation to watch. These will also shed some light on some of the material that we're discussing, so make sure that you watch the PowerPoint presentation by Wednesday. Usually your discussion forums for each week, you'll have your first post as well due by Wednesday. You can tell Wednesdays are, of course, big days in the class, but have the first post due by Wednesday. Usually then the final post of the discussion forums are due by Sunday of that same week. Now, this week's discussion forum I want to talk about in a little bit of detail just because it's a little different this time. Before you begin that discussion forum, I want you to come down here and go to this folder that says Target Audience Assignment Part 1. And make sure you click on that folder and open it here, as we're doing. Now, in this folder, you'll find 6 ads. 5 of them are print ads, 1 of them is a video ad. They're all for the same item, the Toyota Prius. Each ad in this case is aimed at a slightly different, or sometimes majorly different, target audience. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take a look at some of these ads, look over them carefully, and decide who you think that the target audience is for each version of these various ads. Who is the ad aimed at? What target audience? Now, by target audience, we mean a group of people. It might be an ad that's aimed, for instance, at college students. It might be an ad that's aimed at Midwestern farmers, or it might be an ad that's aimed at business people who work on Wall Street or something. You need to decide who the ad is most aimed at and what tactics and techniques it uses to approach that audience. The reason we're discussing this in this class is with that idea of audience in mind, because we're going to transfer that to our writing, our business writing, in that consideration of audience and in how to use tactics and techniques to reach and convince an audience of doing something or of taking some action that you want them to do. But we're going to start looking at that in terms of looking at a few visual ads and also some of the text that they use in those ads to get to that. So before you begin this week's discussion forum, go and look at those ads in that folder very carefully. Then come down to the to the discussion forum number 2. Pick 2 of the ads that you've looked at. You might want to jot down a few notes about those ads before you begin the discussion forum for that week, but pick any 2 of those ads that you looked at in that folder. And then for your first post on the discussion forum, I'd like you to first briefly describe each of the 2 ads that you picked, just so that your fellow students know which ads you're talking about. And then state who you think the target audience for each of those ads are. Again, is it Midwestern farmers? Is it college students? Who is it? It might be some other demographic that once you look at the ad, you sort of guess or sort of figure out that the ad is aimed at that particular group of people. Talk about who the target audience is in that. And then in the second part of your first post for the discussion forum, I'd like for you then to suggest what you think are the actual tactics that the ad is using to try and reach that target audience. What image is it using that would particularly appeal to that target audience? What words or text is it using there that have some sort of specific meaning or context or appeal? What kind of strategy is it using to try and get that target audience to buy that product? Okay, post that post by Wednesday, your discussion of 2 of those ads. where you list the target audience and where you suggest the tactics that each of those 2 ads you've chosen uses to try and reach that target audience. Post that by Wednesday. Then throughout the rest of the week on the discussion forum, go and read what other students have to say, respond to their comments, ask questions back and forth with them, have a good continuing recurring discussion of that. I'll be dropping into this discussion forum at various points to look at what you're writing and also to participate a little bit. So keep up the conversation, ask questions, respond, expand on thoughts that other students have said. Now, remember, you can do better on the discussion forums the more actively you participate. If you only meet the minimum requirement and only post the minimum number of times, you can pass the assignment, but you might not make an A on it. The best way to make an A on the discussion forum assignments is to keep up regular participation, to keep checking in actively rather than just, say, posting on Wednesday and then turning around and posting on Sunday, just on the final day of the assignment. If I see that you're active in posting there, most likely you'll make a much better grade. Now, the other assignment that you'll have this week, as you will most weeks we have a writing assignment that's due on Friday. Now, unlike last week's writing assignment, which was a diagnostic and thus was just one that was done to sort of show me your ability, but isn't one that counts for a grade, this week's writing assignment is one that will count for a grade. It's a fairly easy one. It is due by Friday of this week. In this case, it also deals with that subject of target audience, but in this case, you're doing it in a form of writing. You'll be writing to a target audience. You'll see when you open up that writing assignment a list of several different kinds of items or ideas. For each, I want you to pick one of those particular topics, those items or ideas, and write 2 descriptions of it. In the first description, I want you to write it as though you're writing to a very technical audience. Okay, an audience that's kind of really educated, academic maybe. Describe that item to them in the kind of terms and languages you think that would best suit that audience. In the second description, I want you to re-describe that same topic or item that you've chosen, but this time use language that's more geared towards the mass public, to the general public, to just a mass audience out there, not necessarily as well educated, more trying to reach people on a level as though you were maybe making a national advertisement for that. Okay? All right, so the assignments are this week are pretty self-explanatory as you read them, and definitely each of the assignments will list its own guidelines and rules, so read over those very carefully. But starting this week, you'll begin to see and fall into that kind of pattern and structure that we will often have every week. Read a chapter, take a quiz, watch a PowerPoint unit, participate in a discussion forum, and then do a writing assignment. This will tend to be the same pattern that we'll have for many of the weeks of the class. It changes somewhat towards the end of the semester, but for definitely the first half of the semester, this tends to be the regular pattern that you'll have. Good luck with everything. I'm anxious to see the work that you do this week. I've really enjoyed reading your icebreaker discussion forum and getting to know a few things about you. And I will be talking to you again shortly throughout the week on the discussion forums and then at the beginning of next week to get you started with your assignments as we start. At that point, we'll be starting our second module for the semester. All right, see you soon.